Chaffey Computer Science Project. Progfest 2014. Problem number 6. The perks of being a programmer. Michael, a retired COBOL programmer, opens up a bakery in Los Angeles, focusing on making breads named with programming puns. For non-programmers, there is no discounts. However, for programmers, he wants to offer discounts depending on how many items they purchase. A non-programmer gets no discount and pays full price. Each programmer will tell Michael his or her preferred language. If it is COBOL, he or she gets no discount at all and pays full price. Each non-COBOL programmer is offered an additional 10% discount on their total purchases after all other discounts have been applied. If a non-COBOL programmer buys 2 or more items, he or she gets a 15% discount. If a non-COBOL programmer buys 5 or more items, he or she gets an additional 10% discount after applying the 2-item discount. Your job is to write a program, not in COBOL, that will read in a list of orders and produce a total and find the total after applying all other discounts.
So this is the code that we were able to come up with. We have our system libraries. We have IOStream, which allows us to do inputs and outputs. And we also have IOManip, which is our formatting library. So we jump down into our declaration of variables. For our strings, we have program language, which allows the user to input the customer's preferred programming language. And then we have programmer. This allows the user to input whether the customer is a programmer or not. We then have our doubles. We have subtotal, which is initialized to 0. This is the total before the discounts. And then we have total, which is also initialized to 0. This will be the total after discounts, or the total with no discounts at all. We have ncobalt, initialized to 0. This is for the 10% discount for non-COBOL customers. We have ncobalt2. This gives the 15% discount for 2+ items for non-COBOL customers. And also ncobalt5, which gives an extra 10% discount for 5 or more items for non-COBOL customers. We have our array for price items. This allows us to list each of the item prices. And then we have our integers, which is num items, which allows us to input the number of items that's being purchased. And also num order, which allows the user to input the number of orders that there will be. So it jumps right into asking how many orders there are. Then the user will input the number of orders. The for loop allows us to loop the following code, the number of orders that is entered. And then after that, it will ask the user if the customer is a programmer or not. We also went ahead and set the precision to do, which will set the numbers going forward to do decimal places, since we are going to be dealing with money. And then if the customer is not a programmer, it will ask the user to enter the number of items the customer is purchasing. And then it will go ahead and ask for the price of each item in a for loop. And then every time the price of an item is entered, it will add the prices together during the loop. After that, it will output the overall total for the purchase. If the customer happens to be a programmer and they enter yes, it will then ask for the preferred programming language of the customer. If the preferred language is COBOL, then they will receive no discount. And then it will ask once again for the number of items being purchased. and then it will once again go through the loop where the user will enter the different prices of each item and also display the total at the end. If their preferred language happens to be anything other than Cobalt, then it will have the user input the number of items being purchased, and then it'll once again ask for each of the items or each of the price items being purchased. It will once again go through a for loop to add up for the subtotal. If the customer happens to be purchasing 5 or more items, then it will output the subtotal before the discount. After that, we have n cobalt equals subtotal minus subtotal times 0.10, which takes off the 10% discount. And then we have n cobalt 2, which will take off the additional 15% off for the 2 or more item discount. And then have n cobalt 5, which is calculating for the extra 10% off for the 5 or more item discount, when this is all set into the total. So after taking off the additional 10% discount, it will finally output the total price for the overall purchase, including all of the discounts. If the customer happens to be purchasing 2 items or more, but less than 5, then it will display the subtotal before the discounts, and then it'll go through and take off the 10% discount for the non-Cobalt programming language, and then it will also take off the 15% off for having 2 or more items. And then it will display the total, including all of the discounts taken. Finally, if the customer only happens to be purchasing 1 item but is still a non-Cobalt programmer, then it'll output the subtotal without any discounts, and then it'll output the total of the purchase with the 10% discount, since they are a non-Cobalt programmer. And at the end, if the user answers with anything other than yes or no, or whether they are a programmer or not, then it will output an error message and tell them that they will need to enter yes or no and to please try again. And then that will be the end of the program.
And so here we have our program running. So it asks how many orders are there. I'll go ahead and put 2. Are you a programmer? I'll go ahead and put no. Please enter the number of items. I'll put 3. And then price of item 1, I'll put $10. Price of item 2, I'll put $10. And price of item 3, I'll go ahead and put $10 just to make it easy. And then it shows our total as $30. And then it'll ask again whether we are a programmer. I'll put yes. What is your preferred programming language? I'll go ahead and put C++. Please enter the number of items. I'll do 3 again. And then I'll go ahead and do 10, 10, and 10. And then our subtotal is $30, and then it shows our total with our 2 discounts, our 10% for non-Cobalt and our 15% for 2 or more items, and it shows that as $22.95. And that is our program.